Hello everyone, Alisa Fish with you here as usual. But today my video will not be usual, it will be very different. Different for a few reasons. If you notice already, my channel I named Witchcraft Esoteric. I know what it relates to that. Not only because I practice and I believe in the power of it, but also because we live under the power of magic and esoteric. We live in a matrix. We live in a world where we've been manipulated, suppressed, to the point where we don't even believe that we've been manipulated. There are a few things I want to highlight before I continue. A few days ago, one of the activists, vegan activists, died because she was there to protect animals, to bring awareness, to try to change people's minds and people's hearts. And she got run over by a slaughter truck driver who was delivering baby pigs, many hundreds of baby pigs, to be slaughtered on that day. Sadly enough, not only pigs, but one of our beautiful heart, beautiful person, kindness person died under the truck. When he killed her, he dragged her body over 50 feet without paying any attention. I'm sure it was done purposely. He only stopped when one of the security guys told him to stop. Rest of the activists were not aware and were not sure, because when the lady screamed, they thought the pigs were screaming, because pigs, when they taken to be slaughtered, they're screaming. So when the driver finally realized he killed the person, he stopped, but it was already too late. I looked at some images of some vegan activists who've been taking pictures, although it's not allowed right now to take a picture in front of the slaughterhouse, because thanks to Bill 156 egg gag, the bill passed also a few days ago, before Reagan was killed, brutally murdered. This bill prohibits activists, vegan activists, people who want to save animals or put a light into the darkness of slaughterhouses, into the darkness of animal agriculture, into the darkness of how animals been raised, how they've been tortured, even while they spending their miserable days, weeks or months at the farms. Bill 156 canceling all that. So it makes anybody who trespassing to a farm or a slaughterhouse or any animal place where the animals are raised for meat, for eggs, for milk, for fur, for the skin, all this darkness, right? It makes them right away criminals, so they're not allowed to go. If they go, they automatically become criminals. And as well as coming to the slaughterhouse and video record, make pictures, take pictures, and highlight it, it also makes you automatically criminal. We've been fighting this ag gag law and signing petitions. However, this time we lost. Not only lost the bill, but we also lost an amazing person, an activist for 30 years, who've been trying to bring a light into the darkness of hell. The darkness of hell. Right now, a cops and the, I guess, a CEO of the slaughter industry. I can call that meat industry, slaughter industry. They are hiding the driver, and I hope so much that the Madame Karma will take care of this, of all this hell. Now, why I'm calling hell, right? For some of you who are non-vegans, don't believe in such, and think that, animals should be raised for meat, animals should be suffering, it's normal, it's our normality. I just want to tell you something very important. There's such a thing as called egregor, and I'm gonna have a little image of it, as well as down below this video you will find a couple of links where you can find explanation of what egregor is. Briefly, I can read you from Wikipedia. So in Wikipedia it says egregor, an occult concept representing a thought form or collective group mind and autonomous psychic entity made up and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. Here's what it says at the wiki. Egregor theosophy. An egregor, pronounced egregor, is a group or thought form. It can be created either intentionally or unintentionally, and it become a thing on its own, right? So it has a power, and it's not a living being, obviously. It's a like everything made up of energy. We made up of energy. Everything around us, first of all, we are energy beings, light beings, and then we are proteins and molecules and all that jazz, right? But first of all, everything is energy and vibration. If you want to believe it or if you don't want to believe it, it's physics, and it's even quantum physics. Now, going back to egregor, slaughterhouse, especially places where 10,000 poor souls, animals, getting killed every day. What do you think the egregor of that place would be? Probably like hell. Not like hell, hell on earth, right? And it's interesting because if you're looking at today is June the 21st. She died 2 days ago, prior to solar eclipse, full solar eclipse. Why I mention that here? Because solar eclipse is in the old ages it was prohibited to look at, and people were hiding in their houses, and they were not looking at that, because a full eclipse, or basically what happened is the shadow of the moon comes directly against the sun and it hides the sun, completely hides the sun. So that's why they call it full eclipse. Why it was prohibited? Because it is believed that the sun represents a god, a light, everything opposite of evil and darkness, Satan, devil, hell, and all that stuff. And it's interesting how she was sacrificed, or she was killed 2 days prior to full solar eclipse. Another thing, I just want to make a connection here, that when the solar eclipse comes into the power, into the stage, people who practice the opposite of what I practice. I don't practice any dark witchcraft or anything like that. People practice black magic and all this evil stuff that's affecting us not in a good way, right? Any blood sacrifices, anything have to do with putting curse on somebody, or taking life, or stealing somebody luck and stuff like that. So that's all dark. I think it's dark, right? They usually do on a full solar eclipse. And today, by the way, on June 21st, a lot of people who practice in Satanism, Luciferians, they call them followers of Luciferians. They also call them I'll find the name right now on the Google. But anyway, so they are coming on all the major streets, on all the big cities around the world, and it's, by the way, it's been highlighted on the social media, even though previous years it was prohibited to advertise any kind of type of Satanism or Luciferianism or any type of worshipping towards the darkness and, devil and Satan and all that stuff. So right now it's widely available. You can hear, you can read about that, you can follow them, you can become their fan, and you can even join them in their movement. So what they're trying to bring, they're coming to the cities like New York in the States, I guess Seattle, other big cities, probably Los Angeles, of course, places in Europe, like, of course, like Amsterdam, everywhere basically, even in India. And what they're demanding, they demanding a world one order, or new world order, basically, when we all gonna be under the power of Satan. And obviously they are not the people who rule in this world, they are not the people who are taking the best care of us, so that we don't know who we are any longer, that we not longer believe that we been manipulated and brainwashed. So those people, of course, they are not from those people, they are just puppets that also been manipulated and pushed to do certain moves. It's interesting how it has a correlation with BLM, or Black Lives Matter. And if you don't want to hear about this, guys, just press the button pause, or just skip this information. Black Lives Matter, since they started ruining America and also places in Europe, they're going crazy. About 4 black cops been killed. If you watch news carefully, when George Floyd was not strangled, but was suffocated by the force of the cop, of his knee, of his thigh, whatever. He was hold there for 8 minutes and 36 seconds. It's funny enough, when you look at that number, that's exactly the time when the plane crashed into the two towers in 9/11, in September 11, 2001. You guys have to realize that everything in this world is been run by cult, by a Satanist, and they've been taking care of humanity. Take care, obviously it's in a sarcastic way, right? They cannot, they cannot take care of people, right? They can only ruin us and bring fear, bring war, bring injustice, bring mess. That's what they do with BLM right now, funded by George Soros. By the way, if you don't know who is Soros, then Google it. There is also belief that Floyd is alive. The guy who's supposed to be dead, they believe that he's alive. He, when they had the day of his burial, and the people came to say final goodbye, surprisingly enough, he was in a closed casket. And the question is, he didn't go through the fire, he wasn't burned, that you can recognize the body. He also didn't go through the car accident. He didn't die from car accident. He just died by someone strangled him, right? Why the casket was closed? Big question. There are some bloggers and some insiders saying that even the size of his casket was not enough to, to carry his body, because he was pretty tall and pretty big, right? He wasn't a small guy. There is also belief that right now he's among the BLM. He's alive, and all is good. That's one of the theory, right? There is another theory where another person knew him a long time ago. It's one of the lawyer. I also gonna download the information. I put it down below. You can guys find this information available. So that lawyer said that he knew Floyd, and the real Floyd died a few years back, and he remembers that fact. So it's up to you what to believe, and it's up to you which side to take. But to me, it's very strange. If you, as Black Lives Matter, stand on your ground and trying to defend your own people, why would you kill black cops? Why? They're your people, right? You're supposed to protect them, respect them, and of course not to kill them. It's almost like if I was a vegan activist and I would, try to hunt all the vegans down. That doesn't make sense, does it? So back to my story, right? The vegan activist Reagan Russell died a couple of days ago, and it was just about before the solar eclipse. Which makes sense because in this world, like David Icke said, he reminded us of the, he quoted actually one of the Chinese philosopher, and he said that this world doesn't run by kings or queens or leaders. It runs by numbers and symbols. Numbers and symbols, right? So if you pay attention to when each of this person dies, there are numbers and symbols. They are sacrifices for satanic cult. They're using people as sacrifice. And by the way, everybody in the States, and I think in Europe right now, they go down on one knee. If you pay attention to that, it's also one of the biggest ritual in a Mason religion. If you can call it religion, I think it's just a cult. A cult that been using people to gain more power, using people in all field of work. I know for fact, I used to have a friend who was a former cop, and he was a Mason, right? He said they came to us one time to our station, and they just offer us to be part of them. So they're gaining power everywhere. They have Masons among politicians. Usually they are the highest rank. They have them amongst doctors, amongst, MPs, member of parliaments, of course, among the cops, among all the people that have power. And not surprised why, because that's how they manipulating us, right? Because when you part of them, when you're among them, how you can fight them? You're not gonna fight them. You're gonna stand with them in one, in one row. So today is a solar eclipse. I advise you not to celebrate that and not to look at that, because it represents darkness, total darkness, and end of any kind of hope. It's up to you what you're gonna do. In my further videos, I will highlight more about esoteric witchcraft and symbols. I'm actually taking a course from one of the Russian, he's a writer, blogger, scientist, and he's a cryptographer. Basically, he studies different languages from ancient Aramaic to nowadays Hebrew. He studies codes. He studies different symbolic, religious symbolic, and how it correlates with what we have in the world, how they manipulate our minds, how they program our thoughts, our behavior, how each time we're watching movies, they program the future, and they let us see, although we don't understand. But as you know, for Masons, as long as they tell you the truth, it doesn't matter in which form, in a coded form, or in the form of a movie, or in the form of the show, or in the form of the dates and numbers, like we see with George Floyd, 836. right? So all those numbers, they correlate with something, and they represent something. And if you don't understand that, that's our fault, basically, right? So I'll be studying that, and I'll be highly sharing while I can, while this censorship is even though it's in the full power. I'll try to code my stuff to preserve and prevent any form of deleting from YouTube and other social media. But for now, guys, stay safe. Remember, solar eclipse, it's a natural occurrence in our cosmos with our planets. It's a natural thing. But you know what? There's no wonder why ancient people were prohibited from watching and looking at that. There is something we still don't understand, even if you don't believe. There is something behind that we should listen sometime to the ancient wisdom. So I'll be ending my video with a simple saying that don't listen to me, don't listen to other bloggers. Use your common sense, use your heart, meditate. Remember, if you eat a food that's full of toxins like meat and stuff, if you eat corpse of animals, it's very hard to learn the truth and to be open for the truth, because all your senses are blocked by the pain, fear, and the death of animals. And one last thing I just want to let you know, I don't know, for those who probably already know, in ancient Rome, slaves were fed meat, right? So slaves were eating meat. They never fed them fruits or veggies or grains, because it was food for royals and for gladiators. And gladiators, according to a real true history without BS, real gladiators were vegans. So I will be ending on this note. Be open to new, never judge, always be ready to change, especially in this space we live right now. Let be love, peace, harmony, and truth always with you. Thank you for watching.